In the headlines, PDP to screen Atiku's running mate on Thursday. INEC pledges credible governorship election in Ekiti State. Soldiers find abducted Chibok schoolgirl in Borno. Away from Nigeria, fire, floods, extreme heat ravage the United States. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. Beginning with political stories, the People's Democratic Party has put together a committee to screen its vice presidential candidate for the 2023 presidential election. In a statement, the party National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, said that the committee is pursuant to Part 6, Paragraph 14 of the Electoral Guidelines of the party. Ologunagba said that the National Working Committee has approved the nomination of the party members to serve on the Vice Presidential Candidate Screening Committee for the screening and verifying of the nominated Vice Presidential candidate of the party for the 2023 general elections. According to him, the screening exercise will hold at the National Secretariat of the party in Abuja on Thursday, June 16, 2022. The committee is expected to be chaired by Chief Tom Ikime, with other members as Idris Wada, Osita Chidoka, Binta Bello, Austin Opara, Professor Aisha Madawaki, and Fidelis Tapgo. Meanwhile, the deadline for presidential candidates to choose their running mates has generated heated discourse in the polity. Wading into the debate, Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State says that the choice of who they will run with should rest with those that have emerged presidential flag bearers of their parties. Governor Uzodinma spoke on Tuesday with newsmen at State House, Abuja, explaining that the choice of a running mate will take into considerations all the indices that will promote fairness and unity of the country. Kende Amodu reports.
Presidential candidate of the APC is probably faced with the toughest decision among all the candidates that have emerged. Being a Muslim, his clinching the party ticket has thrown up speculations of whether he will choose a Muslim running mate. Observers have pointed out that to capture what they describe as the northern vote, he must choose a northern Muslim. For some, that idea is completely unacceptable. But Governor Uzodinma holds a contrary view.
There is nowhere in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria where religion is a factor or a characteristic as to who becomes the president or who becomes the running mate. But we are looking for a united Nigeria where governance will be the issue, where a president will be judged by his capacity to deliver.
And contrary to some speculations, he's quick to clarify that the people of the Southeast are looking beyond the disappointment of not producing the presidential candidate in the two biggest political parties. Rather, he says they are looking to get the buy-in of other regions to their cause, as no geopolitical zone can produce a president without the participation of other political zones.
We expected that now the power came back to the south, it will go to the southeast. But you see, it's not a decision that the geopolitical zone alone will do. No geopolitical zone can become a president without the participation of other geopolitical zones. So when you don't get the cooperation, you begin to find out why, and you work towards getting the cooperation next time.
The governor also outlines the factors that should be taken into consideration while choosing a running mate.
In that ballot paper, there is no room for delegates to vote for who will be a running mate. So that explains why it is not a decision for the public, for the people. It is a decision for the candidate. So the decision of who becomes your running mate, if I were the candidate, what will inform it is what will I do as an action that will enable me to get the kind of votes I'm looking for. Because the ultimate goal is to win the election.
With a deadline for the submission of names of presidential candidates and their running mates some days away, the main political parties are already in some last-minute consultations over the choice of their vice presidential candidates. Those names must be submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission by Friday. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has called on lawmakers to stay committed to the political system of their respective parties, not minding the outcome of the just concluded primaries. The Senate President made the call on Tuesday in an address to welcome members of the upper chamber back from the break. The report.
Senate Chamber had on Wednesday, May 11, 2022, suspended plenary to enable lawmakers participate in the primaries of the political parties. Resuming duty as Senate President, Ahmed Lawan urged his colleagues to remain committed to nation building, not minding the outcome of the results in the just concluded presidential election primaries of the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC), during which he lost his bid for the #1 seat in the country. In his welcome address, Lawan stressed the need to prioritize the nation's security challenges as well as undertake further amendments of the Electoral Act. According to him, the electoral process in the just concluded primaries have thrown up issues that must be critically looked at by the National Assembly.
We have participated in the party primaries at various levels. We have recorded different results from those activities. But as politicians, it is never over until it is over.
In a form of self-appraisal, the Senate President commended the Ninth Assembly for having done well in the last 3 years towards improving the quality of governance in the country.
On the 4th year of our tenure, having clocked 3 years on Sunday, I wish all of us a very successful final year. This country can do better. And this National Assembly has done quite well to make governance better in this tenure.
In a similar vein, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has expressed displeasure over the outcome of some of the primaries that were conducted across the nation. Gbajabiamila said this on Tuesday at the resumption of plenary. The report.
Gbajabiamila, who said the outcome of the process shows complete disregard for the nation's democratic process, promised that the legislative arm will continue to fight for strengthening of democracy in the country. He called on members to set aside their feelings and concentrate on the various responsibilities each lawmaker has towards their constituents.
Honorable colleagues, it is rather unfortunate that the process went the way it went. I make bold to say here that the legislature has once again suffered losses. The loss really is not for members who lost. It's a loss to democracy, to the institution, and to the country. If it means anything, I know and I am aware that many of our members did not lose their primaries because they were rejected by their constituents. No, far from it. Many of our members lost because of the process which we foresaw in the House of Representatives.
The Speaker noted that the House will get back to work immediately to attend to bills that have overstayed as well as those still pending at committee levels.
We will also continue activities to ensure full implementation of the legislative agenda of the Ninth House of Representatives. This includes consideration and passage of relevant legislation and other stakeholders' engagement and outreach efforts. Several legislative agenda bills have been in committee for longer than they should. Next week, I will invoke Order 18.3G to commit those bills to the Committee of the Whole or any other relevant committee of the House, unless provided with a compelling reason to do otherwise. We have a limited time left to live up to our commitments in our legislative agenda, and we must make the time count.
The Speaker promised to take advantage of the ongoing constitutional amendment process by the Committee on Constitution Review to look into critical areas for amendment, like the Gender Neutrality or Empowerment Bill, and come to a consensus. The House adjourned to Wednesday, June 15th, while a minute's silence was observed in honor of the late colleague Ekpayong Basi.
The Independent National Electoral Commission says it is ready to conduct a credible governorship election in Ekiti State. Speaking on Tuesday, Chairman of the INEC's Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, said the Commission will deploy the bimodal voter accreditation system for the June 18 election. Okoye said INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu was already in southwestern state, and he said stakeholders will sign the peace accord on Wednesday. And away from politics, troops of the 26th Task Force Brigade on Tuesday found one Mary Ngoshe, who, according to the Nigerian Army, is believed to be one of the kidnapped girls from Government Girls Secondary School Chibok in 2014. This is contained in a tweet posted to the Nigerian Army's verified Twitter page on Wednesday morning. Ngoshe, who was found with a child believed to be hers, was intercepted by the troops while on patrol around Ngoshe in Borno State. Katsina City came under an attack of terrorists early on Tuesday morning, in the course of which 8 people comprising women and children were abducted. About 10 terrorists, heavily armed with dangerous weapons, attacked residents of Shola quarters, few meters away from the Federal Medical Center in Katsina metropolis. Abdullahi Amadi completes the story.
The terrorists arrived Shola quarters around 1 a.m. and started breaking into several houses, bringing out their victims. Besides AK-47 rifles, the terrorists were also armed with diggers, shovels, and hammers, with which they broke down doors and windows. In this particular house, the terrorists fired several gunshots before gaining entry, after which they abducted a housewife and her child. The terrorists broke into my brother's house and abducted his wife and a child. We have a pathetic situation here, and it is indeed very unfortunate that everywhere is not safe. This woman informed Trust Television that the terrorists, who were masked, accessed the kidnapped woman's residence through her house.
I saw them with my naked eye, climbing the walls of my house, through which they gained access into Lukman's house. I couldn't believe what I saw. They threatened to beat me up if I shout or raise any alarm.
This is the second time residents of Shola quarters will be experiencing this bitter experience. They want the authorities to beef up security in their area, and they are living in fears and cannot predict when the terrorists will strike again. I narrowly escaped being kidnapped because they attempted going with me, but I fell down and one of them hit me with a gun and asked the rest of the terrorists to leave me alone, thinking that I was dying. This is really a worrisome situation. Observers say the infiltration of the terrorists into cities like Katsina is an indication that the security situation is spiraling out of control, and there is an urgent need to deal with it holistically. Abdullahi Ismail, Trust Television News, Katsina.
You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up shortly. Nigeria set to host the world. Details and more coming after the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Here is a reminder of our top stories again. PDP is set to screen Atiku's running mate on Thursday. INEC pledges credible governorship election in Ekiti State. Now, moving on, the Catholic Diocese of Ondo has fixed Friday, June 17, 2022 for the mass burial of those who lost their lives in the terrorist attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State last week, Sunday. The Diocese Director of Social Communication, Reverend Father Augustine Iku, who confirmed the date of the mass burial, said that it will take place at the church's new cemetery at Imure Road, Owo. Meanwhile, while maintaining that the number of those killed is 40, Iku said that the injured victims are still receiving treatment at the Federal Medical Center and the St. Louis Catholic Hospital, both in Owo and some other private hospitals in the state. A federal high court in Abuja on Tuesday convicted and sentenced Chibuna Umebi and Emeka Ezenwane linked to suit filed by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency against suspended DCP Abba Kyari over alleged drug deal to 2 years imprisonment. Delivering the judgment, Justice Emeka Nwite held that having admitted to committing the offense preferred against them by the NDLEA, Umebe and Ezenwane are convicted accordingly. Justice Nwite sentenced them to 2 years imprisonment in each of counts 5, 6, and 7. They were arraigned alongside Kyari, first defendant, and other 4 accused police officers, including ACP Sunday Ubia, ASP Bawa James, and Inspector Simon Agiregba, and Inspector John Nuhu as second to 5th defendants on March 7th. Consequently, Nwite fixed July 18, 19, and 20 for trial of Kyari and remaining defendants and for hearing of their fresh application for bail. A Kano State High Court has adjourned judgment till July 28 in the trial of Tanko Abdul Malik and 2 others accused of killing late Hanifa Abubakar. Prosecution and defense teams adopted their written addresses before the court on Tuesday. Prosecution Lamido Sorong Dinki asked the court to sentence the defendants Tanko Abdul Malik and his co-accused to death. Trial Judge Justice Usman Naaba adjourned the matter for judgment.
We have today adopted our final written addresses in respect of this case, and I have made an application before this honorable court that under Order 31 Rule 4 that the court should allow me to make a comment, a certain adumbration on the charge level against the second defendant, who is Isiaku Hashimu, in respect of the charge on him. And the court allows me, and I drew the attention of the court that the charge with charge against him under Section 277 is similar to that of under 274 paragraph V, which was alleged, which was leveled against first defendant, that is Abdul Malik Tanko, and they carry the same punishment, that is death penalty. And therefore, we urge the courts to pass death sentence on all the defendants, the Abdul Malik Tanko and Isiaku Hashimu, as well as Fatima Jibrin, because the punishment of those sections under which they were all charged carry the same punishment of death penalty. That is what we urge this honorable court, and the court has adjourned the matter to the 28th of July 2022.
Nigeria's government Tuesday inaugurated a planning committee for the hosting of the United Nations World Tourism Organization Global Conference on Linking Tourism, Culture and the Creative Industries with a theme, Pathways to Recovery and Inclusive Development. The global event, which is scheduled to hold at the National Theatre Complex, Lagos, is expected to bring together key industry players to brainstorm on contemporary issues plaguing the sectors. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman tells us more.
Nigeria got the hosting right for the inaugural edition of the Global Conference during the 64th meeting of the UNWTO Commission for Africa in Cape Verde in 2021. The decision, according to Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed, was in recognition of the country's rising profile in tourism, culture and the creative industries, not just in Africa but around the world.
The Nigerian film industry, popularly known as Nollywood, has become a globally recognized brand and the third largest movie industry in the world after Hollywood and Bollywood. Our music industry, just like its movie counterpart, has also taken the world by storm, while our fashion industry is so huge that it is bigger than the movie and the music industries combined.
Inaugurating the 24-member Conference Planning Committee, the minister says it will be assisted by 7 other committees to deliver a world-class event, as he enumerates some of the benefits derivable from the gathering.
Showcase Nigeria's tourism, culture and creative assets, project Nigeria's image as a safe and desirable destination for leisure and business, consolidate on our relationship with the UNWTO and its member states, highlight the restart of travel and tourism in a safe and seamless manner after the unprecedented impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
He says prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, the tourism and the creative industries were fast-growing sectors with a value of over $1.47 trillion and $2.25 trillion respectively, but were greatly affected by the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic. Mohammed said the global conference will serve as a catalyst to recover the losses. The committee, chaired by the minister, has amongst others Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information and Culture, representatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Bankers Committee. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And away from Nigeria, a series of slow-motion disasters is gripping the United States as it enters summer, with warnings of misery for months to come in some areas. The National Weather Service meteorologist Alex Lammers said a dome of high pressure is expected to generate well above normal to record-breaking temperatures across the region on Wednesday and Thursday. Around 120 million people are under some sort of advisory as a heat wave scorched the upper Midwest and the southeast parts of Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio, were warned to expect the mercury to reach 109 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a wrap on Trust News Update. Watch more by connecting with us via all social media platforms. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching.